Hello, it is the 68th day of the war. It is December 13th, and it is the seventh night of Hanukkah here in Israel, 5:30 p.m. here and 10:30 a.m. on the eastern coast in the United States. Let's start quickly with some good news. Israel controls over 30 kilometers of land in the Gaza Strip. That is an impressive amount. Shows exactly how we are winning. Jabalia is the last stronghold that Israel holds, and sorry, that Hamas holds, and that is as soon as that falls, that's pretty much the end of the war. We are slowly and surely taking it over. That's in the northern Gaza Strip. The south is essentially taken almost just about. Khan Yunis and Rafah are essentially surrounded, and it's just a matter of time. Israel has been moving so fast through Gaza that its logistical trucks couldn't keep up. And for the first time in the war, Israel had to drop supplies by plane. It was the only way to get supplies to its soldiers that were advancing so fast that the logistical trucks couldn't keep up. So planes dropped supplies. Israel has struck over 250 sites over the last couple of days. Let's see what else. Okay, there are rumors that that water is being pumped into the tunnels already. So that is and being evaluated whether it works. Now, Egypt has done this in the past. They've flooded their tunnels in 2015 with water, and it worked. So we're trying to see if it'll work in Israel. There are objections from environmentalists. I think that it might affect the water supply and aquifers in Gaza in the future. So they're asking that this not be used. And instead, I guess they want us to use explosives. Probably not. They probably just want us to stop the war. So that's not going to happen. So if this becomes effective, then it'll be very good. The United States and England has put more sanctions on Hamas leaders. That's very good. That means that they can't do business as usual. And there have been rumors that leaders from Hamas have had to fled. The three leaders of Hamas that hide out in Qatar, and their staff and everybody else has had to flee Qatar. I don't know if this is true, but the rumors are that Qatar told them that they can no longer guarantee their safety. I guess that means that the Mossad informed Qatar that they're going to come after these leaders of Hamas, and supposedly they are trying to secretly make their way to, I think it was Algiers, is offered to host them, but I'm not sure. These are rumors, so I'll make sure it's clear that this is not for sure. Okay. Israel kept striking Lebanon overnight, so that's very good news. We're again weakening Hezbollah. There were riots in Judea and Samaria and soldiers have got in there. There were fire bombs thrown at our soldiers by it seemed like average citizens, so Palestinians on the streets. Israel pulled their soldiers back and then sent in armored vehicles. And it seems like these attacks that are going on in Judea and Samaria, what the world calls the West Bank, are planned and coordinated. So that would be very very bad. Okay. Let's see. And lastly, the Bibi Netanyahu has said that the United Arab Emirates and Saudi Arabia will pay for Gaza's reconstruction. Supposedly, over 45% of the residences in Gaza have been destroyed. That's a tremendous amount, and it's going to require a lot of rebuilding just for people to find a place to live. But the UAE has made it clear that it will not provide any funding to Gaza unless there is a clear plan of a two-state solution. And that's probably not going to happen. So it'll be interesting to see who has to foot the bill for Gaza's reconstruction. Okay. On to bad news. Unfortunately, last night, 10 soldiers were killed, bringing the number up to 115. In addition, the United Nations General Assembly voted yesterday overwhelmingly, only 10 votes against, for a ceasefire, an immediate ceasefire. The United Nations General Assembly has no ability to enforce their votes. They're just mere resolutions, just a stating of where the world is at the point, and they want a ceasefire. A ceasefire, again, just to make sure everybody understands, would mean that Hamas essentially wins the war. Yes, thousands of Hamas soldiers have been killed and Gaza is destroyed. And in no way could you say that Gaza has defeated Israel. But if the Palestinian terrorists are still alive at the end of this war, So then they've been able to hurt Israel and survive, no matter how many of them were killed. So a ceasefire is merely giving Hamas a victory, giving the Palestinian terrorists a victory, and keeping Israel in danger. Keep in mind that the leaders of Hamas have said that they're going to do this over and over and over again. President Biden spoke at a campaign event raising money for his presidential campaign in 2024 and said that Prime Minister Netanyahu needs to change governments. The idea behind this is that Prime Minister Netanyahu has right-wing members of his government, notably Ben Gvir and Smotrich, who are not moderates at all and do not want a peace deal, do not want a two-state solution. The Biden administration wants a two-state solution. So they see Ben Gvir and Smotrich as members of the government as impediments to their plans. And therefore, in their minds, they're bad people. What the American government is realizing is, agree or disagree with Smotrich and Ben Gvir, these people were elected into office by a sizable portion of the Israeli population. Now, was it all of Israel? No, but Joe Biden also wasn't elected by all of America and wasn't elected by a supermajority. That's not how democracies work. So no matter how many people are in favor of them or not, they got into government because people wanted them there. And again, I don't care if this is somebody all the way to the left, all the way to the right. The point is that by saying to Prime Minister Netanyahu that Israel will not advance as long as these people are in the government, that's interfering. It's interfering with Israel's democracy and Israel's government, and it's wrong of the United States government, or whether it's President Biden or Anthony Blinken or anybody else, to do this. And but they also don't understand is that even if you would switch out Ben Gvir for Yair Lapid, and now you think that, well, Yair Lapid is in the opposition, so he'll be more amendable to a Biden administration peace plan. Well, Yair Lapid announced yesterday that he also doesn't think that the Palestinian Authority should be in charge of Gaza, which is what President Biden wants to happen. So what President Biden doesn't understand is that he shouldn't be interfering in Israeli elections, but also doesn't understand that his interference wouldn't get him what he wants because he's not playing the political cards the right way. He doesn't understand where the Israeli populace is at. Nobody in Israel wants a two-state solution now, and nobody in Israel wants a Palestinian Authority in charge of Gaza. I think that that's going to be any improvement. Last piece of bad news is that Hamas used, it seems now that Hamas used chemical weapons in their attacks on Sifasara on October 7th, and which is why the fires burnt so harshly and why people were injured. Okay, that's the end of our update. Let's answer some of your questions. Due to the war, is the Israeli government allowing Palestinians to work in Israel? No, Palestinians are not allowed to work in Israel now unless they are like emergency workers, like nurses or doctors. If not, where will Israel place the labor? Israel's debating that. Thinking of importing workers from India, where there are a lot of people and not enough work. So it would be a good match. And there are those that are saying that we should allow Palestinians back into Israel. I don't know. Okay. How is okay. Is Israel's main goal saving the hostages or destroying Hamas, or both? It's both. How is Israel going to destroy Hamas if many Gazans support them? Gazans don't support Hamas. Gazans support Hamas's goal of destroying Israel. These Gazans just want somebody else to destroy Israel. Okay, it's not just the leadership having. Okay, will Israel take stronger action knowing the hostages have been killed? If all the hostages were killed, then I don't think that there would be any hesitation on Israel's part to just come in and wipe out Gaza. Not a genocide, that's all I'm saying. Don't take my words out of context, but in other words, they wouldn't be worried about hitting tunnels if and different places where hostages might be. How is Israel and America going to come to an agreement about what should happen after the war? And what do you think the agreement could possibly be? I don't think they're going to come to an agreement. I think that there's just going to be a reality on the ground, and that reality will be obvious. So I think that the Biden administration will keep pushing these fantasies, of a two-state solution and the Palestinian Authority taking over, and they'll keep talking about it, but it won't ever happen. What are some recent developments in the ongoing conflict in the Middle East, particularly regarding the actions taken by involved parties, the potential impact of the region's stability and diplomatic negotiations? I don't know what that sentence means. I'm sorry. How has the public around the world and the media reacted to tunnels in Gaza being filled with water? So we discussed that in this video. Okay, what happens to the United States as a relationship if the U.S. demands something after the war that Israel doesn't follow? It weakens. Look, the U.S.-Israel relationship isn't a relationship that means that they agree on everything. We've had many disagreements before, and there will be many in the future. Do you think the tunnels being filled up by water is extremely effective for us? Why? I don't know. We'll have to see if it is. If it kills members of Hamas and destroys the tunnels, then it's effective. Okay. Will America have a say in what happens after the conflict? Yes, they will have a say. What are your predictions? I think it'll just be mass chaos. I don't think there's going to be anything that'll really help. I think that there won't be a Hamas, and therefore there won't be a government in Gaza, and you'll just have a ton of aid workers wasting money right and left from the world donating money, but you won't have anything serious. Have there been any cases of hostages being saved by soldiers in Gaza? Yes, right at the beginning of the war, there were hostages. There was a hostage saved, but since then, no. At least they haven't released it to the public. What is Israel planning on doing with the information that hostages have been killed? Israel's going to fight harder. Is it true that unfortunately the majority of casualties in the war are from friendly fire? No. As I said in the video, only 25% of the casualties are from friendly fire. Okay, that's the end of today's video. Let's hope that there's peace, security, victory, and our soldiers and hostages come home safely and sound. Shalom.